Good. What advice would you have for somebody wanting to move forward in ministry? Yeah. I've been speaking a lot about this. I have a school of ministry we're starting soon. Check out ministryschool.net. I did a video the other day which has some thoughts on this. Let me give you some quick thoughts on that. Number one, I would say get help, get advice, talk to other people. I don't know what that is, whether it's a cultural thing or simply a age-related thing I'm seeing, whether it's myself getting old or a generational shift. But I see this thing happen a lot where people say, I'm called by God, one day I'm going to do great things. But it's like they're saying, I have my own idea how to get there. And yet the same person will then be expressing frustration. Oh, I'm not getting anywhere. Nobody's opening a door. I'm not moving forward. And my point would be, I would say to anybody, talk to somebody who's done what you want to do. If you want to learn how to be a baker, have a talk with a baker. You might want to work with a baker for a while. If you want to learn how to fix cars, find a mechanic friend, be with them for a while, spend some time learning that skill. And I would say in terms of ministry, try to identify what God is stirring within you. I know you won't know everything, but you probably know some of those things. Probably if you're honest, you have some sense, well, I'd really like to do that one day, do that. I would pray, but I'd also ask, I'd find those people, approach them and say, hey, could I spend some time? Could I ask you some questions? And usually people who love God, who are serving Him, are really willing to help other people, as long as those people are willing to learn and they're not there trying to argue. I know when somebody comes to me and they're simply trying to argue about things, I'm like, God bless you, enjoy. I have other things to do in my life, but I'll always have time to help people move forward. So number one, I would say talk to people who are further along that pathway than you. If you're a Timothy, find a Paul. If you're an Elisha, find an Elijah. If you're a Joshua, find a Moses. If you're a Peter, find a Jesus. Come on, find somebody who's walking with you. If you're a John Mark, find a Peter. So find somebody who can speak into your life and help you identify and move those things forward. The second thing I'd say in terms of moving forward in ministry is get some training. There are people, I am very much a self-starter, a self-learner. I find it probably hard to be around structures, and I went to a Bible school, but I probably learnt most of what I learned outside of that. But I tell you something, I could have learnt so much more by putting myself in the correct context to learn that. Let me give you an analogy. When I was probably about 13, I began playing guitar. For several years of my life, when I was on the run from God, I earned my living playing guitar, and I completely taught myself how to play guitar. I probably had a book once somewhere along the line, but I basically everything I learned by myself. Now, in one way, that sounds great and praiseworthy. Here's the point that I'm making. It took me years to figure out some things that other people could have shown me really quickly. I struggled at times to learn techniques, damping, percussive clicks, all kinds of different things that somebody could have I could have learnt really simple from a good teacher who could have instructed me those things. And it's like I had to reinvent the wheel. And I think in ministry at times people are doing that, or making rookie mistakes by not getting the training they need to that will put them on the right way. There are things we'll always have to learn by ourselves, but there are things we can learn from other people. And if you've got to reinvent the wheel, if every generation has to reinvent some things in God, then every generation has to start again. And there should be something in the kingdom of God where our ceiling becomes the floor of the next generation. But for that to happen, we've actually got to pass on things. To pass on things means we need fathers who'll do that, but it also means we'll need sons who learn. So I would say look at getting some kind of training, some kind of context for that. Let me give you two quick more thoughts, sir. I would pray and do some work coming up with a written plan, a roadmap, I like to call it, a prophetic roadmap for your life. Write down all of the pieces you have. Again, I know you don't have them all, but if you will write them down, I believe God will honor that and give you more. And then I would turn that roadmap, lastly, into a daily to-do. So here's the danger. We sometimes think of that calling God as a far off, when I'm older, when I'm out of college, when I'm married, later in life, when I'm retired, I'll do this. And there's always things you can do today that will move you further along the pathway into tomorrow. Come on, I'll finish that question with this. The way you get into God's will for tomorrow is doing God's will for today. So I would work with somebody else, define that prophetic plan. Where do you want to go? Where God's taking me in life? And then translate that into what can I do today that will move me further along in that direction.